Today's podcast is brought to you by Audible.com. Get a free audiobook download and a 30-day free trial at www.audibletrial.com/Bobcast. Over 180,000 titles to choose from on your iPhone, Android, Kindle, or MP3 player.
This is Bobcast.
BuffaloBrotherhood.com.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Sorry, I had a frog in my throat there to get started. This is the Buffalo Brotherhood. This is the Bobcast, episode 102? 102.
102.
I was going with that. I wasn't sure. I forgot to look until the music was almost over. But I'm pretty sure it's 102.
102.
I'm Ryan. Alongside me, as always, is
Mike.
And across the table from him,
Doug.
And we are here tonight to talk about, well, first off, let me just say, Happy Easter. Happy Easter, everybody, when the show comes out.
Happy Easter.
He has risen.
Yeah, he is risen indeed.
Hallelujah. He is risen.
I was thrown off by the
sounds.
Sorry.
What are you doing?
Nothing. Never mind.
Obviously. He's just playing with that Instagram or whatever.
Was that their Instagram?
That Snapchat. Yeah, he's making waterfalls coming out of
The
his mouth again.
Snapchapper.
He's playing with that there Instagram.
Yeah, well, again, Happy Easter. I hope you guys all had a fun and festive holiday, and take a moment to reflect upon why we're here and what was been given to us, and then also eat ham and probably a bunny-shaped cake,
delicious ham,
a honey or bunny-shaped cake of some sort, and watch kids chase Easter eggs, something.
They chase them
or find them.
Your Easter eggs move?
I throw them
At them.
Yes, absolutely. I actually have dye and paint all over my hands from dyeing eggs this evening. So
kind of makes me want to do that Jimmy Fallon challenge.
Fallon challenge?
The egg challenge where they hard boil. It's like egg roulette.
Yeah.
Where they hard boil 6 of them and
one of them
12 of them. No, something like that. But whoever gets 2 raw first loses. So
let's be honest. Everybody who gets a raw loses. It's just the person who gets 2 loses first.
Peyton Manning one was good.
Yeah, I mean, he has such a massive forehead that honestly,
yes,
even the
he is a Metalunan, as we have previously verified.
Yeah. Well, today's a good episode, and I just realized. Hold on, we'll get to this in just a second. I guess. Let me I hold my finger up so I remember it.
Your fingers are very colorful, by the way.
I just talked about that, Doug. Were you on your phone when we were talking about it?
There we go.
There's a Metalunan.
There's a picture of Jonah as a Metalunan.
Snapchat with my son. He's the best to do those filters on because he loves to smile, so it works out perfectly.
That's funny looking. That's funny. It's funny to look at. I didn't want to say funny looking.
No, he's funny looking in the picture.
You may have heard at the beginning of the show, if you're listening, that you can help us out by checking out Audible. We'll talk about that more later on, but just wanted to throw that out there. It's good news for us.
Good news.
Yes.
Good news, everyone.
Today we're actually going to be talking a lot about Superman versus Batman, though. We all went and seen the movie yesterday, and I'm really glad that I got to see it yesterday before we recorded today, because I've needed this 24 hours to really process this movie. To really sort of think this movie through. But I'm going to tell you right now, people, we're not going to pull any punches when it comes to spoilers. This is going to be a heavily spoiled show.
Yes.
The 3 of us have all seen
Quite spoiled.
Okay. Like a rotten egg, apparently. Whatever you're looking at disappeared. But we've all 3 seen the show. Here's what I'm going to recommend you do. If you haven't seen the show, or you don't care about spoilers, or if you haven't seen the show and you care about spoilers, please just stop. Just don't listen any further. Wait for next week, or after you see the show, come back to episode 1 or 2 and listen to it. I don't want to ruin anybody's weekend or ruin anybody's day by having to hear something you didn't want to hear.
Warning.
If you don't care about spoilers.
What did you say?
Abusia.
If you don't care about spoilers, If you don't care about spoilers, and you don't care about
close enough.
You don't care about spoilers, and you don't, or maybe you've already.
It's
going to
be spoiled.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I don't want people to think that because to be honest, like things don't spoil me. Like I don't get
like
spoiled.
granddaddy's fermented.
It's a good
sperm.
thing you saw it when you said you weren't going to see it, though. I just want to get that out there. That
Okay.
I'm pretty sure a couple times on the show, you said, "I'm going to wait a couple weeks to see it. I'm not going to go see it."
And
right
then
away."
we get a text.
I got 7 p.m. the first showing tickets, so let's go, guys.
Well, my wife wanted to see it.
No, I cleared this with your wife.
And she what'd she tell you?
She said that she wanted to see it, but she wasn't like, I have to go now.
And who set up the babysitter?
I guess she did.
And who got mad because originally I was going to invite lots of people.
I will give you credit that that your timing was not on your part, but
I'm glad I saw it when I saw it. I think it would have been spoiled for me regardless. Yeah.
He just wanted to be present to savor his victory.
It was a victory though too, wasn't it?
All right.
We'll get to it. Okay, so we've given the spoiler warning. The spoiler warning. If you're still here, either you don't care about spoilers, either you don't care about necessarily the movie itself,
or you don't speak English,
or you're one of our Icelandic visitors that just like the tone of Doug's voice.
Narbel.
He's your ASMR.
He puts you to sleep every night. Let's go. Can we open this box? Let's open the Batman versus Superman box.
That's what we're here for.
Okay. Do we have a lineup of thought here? Or we just
I got a little bit of a lineup of thought here.
I think we need to talk about the positives first. It won't take long, but I think we should talk about the positives first.
Okay, then let me say this because, like I said, I really appreciate the fact we had 24 hours before we had to talk about it.
Yeah.
Because my opinion has changed a lot in 24 hours, and I don't know if it's because the further I get away from the movie, the dimmer the beginning of the movie gets to me. Like I accentuate the positive parts that I like. Yeah. I'm going to go out and say that my original Rotten Tomatoes score of like 50 some odd percent, 54%. I would say it's higher than that now. I actually had a really good time watching the movie. Mike can attest to this, sitting right beside me. There were a lot of times I moved in my seat to lean further to the screen because there were parts that I was really anticipating seeing. It was probably the second best Batman movie I have ever seen in my entire life. I mean, outside of Dark Knight, I think it is. This is the Batman, and
I thought you liked Batman Begins more than the Dark Knight.
Well, okay.
Wait, did you just say this is the second best Batman movie?
Yes.
Made in this decade?
No, I think this is the
second best.
Let me. No. This is the Batman that I love. This is the Batman that I like. This is the Batman that's very. I mean, to me, it was very close. More violent, but that's part of it. It was very close to the Batman we saw in the animated versions.
He's just talking purely about the portion with Batman in it. You're not talking about the film as a whole, just Batman's role within the film.
Okay.
We're
supposed to keep it positive, right?
I know, but what I'm saying is I think he's saying that you're committing to this type of this Batman line that you like. You like this story from the comics of this Batman.
Absolutely. And
so this is better than Batman Begins?
I would say yes.
What's your first still, The Dark Knight?
Dark Knight. And I do like the Batman Begins because I like the origin stories. But if you're just talking about Batman movies themselves, and it was, I loved all aspects of this Batman. I loved the Alfred Batman. I loved the technology that this Batman has. I loved the violence. I loved him. That first scene we see him, he's in the corner of the room.
Yeah.
Like you see him a half second before the cop does, and you're like, is that him? Is he sitting there? Is he clawed up there? How does that work?
That was a good scene.
And then when he moves like the animated Batman. He moves. Yeah. And he moves like the Batman in Arkham Knight, the video game.
When he was shooting through the sky, I don't know, this was later, when he was shooting his grapple, and he was
getting away
from
Doomsday. Getting away from Doomsday, and he went up to that one and got up there like on his back, almost a Spider-Man pose kind of thing. Fantastic. That looked really good.
Even like when he was standing on top of the crane with like the sniper, like the tracking stuff.
Yeah.
And like his cape, it wasn't huge.
That looked good.
It wasn't huge, but he's
That
up there
almost
and they
was
have
like
no idea.
that
he's
was
there.
almost Dark Knight-esque.
Yeah, I
like
could see
shot
that.
the like going circling around and being on that. But that's a Batman shot you should have in a Batman movie.
Yeah. But not only okay, and I only started listening halfway through the movie, and I wanted to check with you guys, but I feel like, you know, in Man of Steel, Superman is never really uttered. Two people say super and man sort of together. I never heard the word Batman. I heard the Bat. I heard the Bat of Gotham. I heard like when Superman threatens him.
Yeah, they never call him Batman.
When Superman threatens him, he says, you know, put the bat away, bury it. When Alfred is congratulating Bruce on getting that, you know, that we need Bruce Wayne, not the bat.
Yeah.
But it could have been. What
Did that stop?
Are we having?
Sure looks
problem?
like it.
The video camera is still recording.
That is true.
The audio is.
Let's stick with that audio then.
Okay.
And we'll
I hope
figure it
it's
out
not.
for next
I hope
show.
it's not. I hope it's good, because sometimes it's not good.
It looks okay.
Okay.
Let's go with it.
All right.
All right, we're going with it.
Hopefully this podcast gets to be heard. Just restart it in case we need to.
As soon as you said, started talking about the Batman.
Well, while he's doing that, I'll keep talking, because if we use the one from the
All right,
go ahead.
But yeah, I started paying attention about halfway through. The Batman itself was never necessarily uttered. I think that's interesting. You know, that it's telling to me when we get to the not so positive sides of the film. I'll come back to that, but yeah, I think this is the Batman was the best part of the movie, and really Wonder Woman was the two highlights of me. Superman was Superman. Superman is always going to be the most difficult part of these movies, but that's because the Superman leap that we're on, starting with Henry Cavill and Man of Steel, this isn't the universe that I would have gathered. You know, this isn't the Superman that I would have picked. But just because of a lot of things, it's just not working.
Yeah, forget it. We'll use that audio.
We'll use that audio.
All right.
So that's my big positive. Do you guys want
to talk about the positives?
Mm-hmm.
Upon review and reflection, I would say probably Wonder Woman was. At first, I wasn't. When I was watching the movie, I was kind of like, do I like it? Do I like her? Do I not like her? My only thing was, I wasn't sure about the accent. You know, if it was too foreign or not. But you know, other than that, she gave us like the moments of levity in the movie, the little joking between her and Bruce Wayne at the one of the galas that they were at. Talking about boys don't like to you don't like to share.
I think that accent is just her.
No, that's her. That's
I don't
her
think
voice,
she was trying to make an accent.
No, I'm just wondering, should it have been scaled back at all? But you know, that's splitting hairs really at that point. But I like the way that she fought. You know, the kind of aggressive. You know, as the fight went on, she seemed to really, you know, like she was getting back into fighting, and she started to enjoy it. You know, the joy of the battle. The golden lasso looked fantastic in the movie. So for me, she was probably the highlight. And then I actually think the best scene in the movie was the fight scene with Batman at the warehouse when he was fighting all of the thugs. I think that was the best scene.
Okay, have you ever played any of the Arkham Knight games?
No, I haven't.
Because I feel like that seemed like that was ripped right out of an Arkham Knight video game.
And I like the fact that they gave Bruce Wayne the gritty training montage of him when he's getting ready to go see, you know, and I'm lifting heavy things.
Sledgehammer on the tire.
Yeah. So, I think. Well, I'll talk when we get to kind of the negatives or other thoughts about it. Overall, I was pleased with Ben Affleck as Batman. Do I think it's my favorite Batman movie? No, it's better than the last one with Bane in it.
Dark Knight Rises.
Yeah, I would say it's better than that. I guess if you're going to compare a more modern kind of interpretation of it, but I like that. I like the presentation of him when he's fighting Superman. How he was using his brain and the different little booby traps and the techniques he was using to try to take him down. I was pretty pleased with that portion when it got to that point of the movie and that particular portion of Batman. And on the Superman side, I did like the fact that they tried to sprinkle in a little bit of Superman being the paladin, the good guy of, oh no, there's a woman, here off burning in a building, and I got to go do something about it, and I'm walking away with the tie, and so I feel like they were trying to sprinkle that in of
right,
not this interpretation of Superman as this conflicted, what should I do morally, should I care about the world, should I not, but sprinkle in those little tidbits of him, more of your traditional Superman kind of thing that he would do. So,
and they were selling that when he was talking about how the Daily Planet used to be good and stuff like that.
And I like Lawrence Fishburne in it too.
Oh, he was a great Perry White. Yeah. Fantastic.
Apples don't cost a nickel anymore. It's
not out there, not in here.
It's not 1938, and nickels don't cost. Why did I keep saying that? Apples don't cost a nickel. But those were probably my biggest takeaways from it. Oh, and I talked to you last night, the little Easter egg throw over to Star Wars at the very end of the movie. So, did you catch that? Obviously not.
He's thinking about it, though. I didn't catch it either.
I didn't.
If you noticed, Lex Luthor, his prisoner jumpsuit, his ID. Did you catch what his ID was?
T16 or TS16 or something, right?
No, it was 16-TS TK421.
TK. Okay, all right. Well, I noticed it too late. I was trying to pick it up beforehand because I was like, that's going to be a way that's going to be a. That could be a snippet, but all I got was 16 TS. So apparently,
TK421 is the main part of it. 16 isn't.
Well, I figured. TK. Yeah, I figured I didn't even know if they could just do straight TK421, but the 16, was in front of it, which TK421 is, of course, the call sign for the stormtrooper that I guess Han Solo would have been when they were trying to rescue the princess from the detention block.
Oh, man, I was so close to catching that thing. Dang it.
It was funny because he said, I heard you say it too. You were like, 16 TK421. I heard you say it.
Well, I know I didn't get the whole thing. I know I was just like, by the time I noticed it,
I was the same. When it first popped up, I was like, wait, that's. And then that whole last scene, that's all I focused on.
Yeah.
By that point, because we'll talk about what I thought of Lex later, but I was just focusing on that by that point of the movie. So. Anyway, those were my positives. I like Wonder Woman, probably the best. Batman was close second behind that, and Superman a distant third.
Yeah,
Mike, what's the positives you take away from the movie?
Man,
if any, I guess.
Ben Affleck is a great Batman. But he's also a great Bruce Wayne.
Thank you for bringing this up.
He was a fantastic Bruce Wayne. Every part of him being Bruce Wayne was fantastic. That scene when he was back in technically the Man of Steel movie, where he's back in Metropolis, watching, is it Zod's eyes blow through that, and all the buildings crashing down and stuff like that. That part was so good. I mean, that was. That should have been a Batman movie. But anyways, that he did such a good job. Ben Affleck should be getting credit for what he's done in this movie. I think he did a fantastic job. I think seeing him and seeing the other characters later on in the movie and seeing in my opinion, the movie got really good the minute Wonder Woman showed up. When she showed up, bam, there's a good movie. which makes me have this huge hope for the Justice League. Justice League is going to be a fantastic movie, I think, if they do it right. Mm-hmm. But anyways, yes, Gal Gadot, perfect casting for that. I think she did a fantastic job. She looks fabulous as Wonder Woman, of course.
The costume was fantastic. The
choreographing of that of her fighting was very, very good.
Yeah.
They used every tool that she had to protect herself. You know, she used her shield, she used her bracer, she used her lasso, she used her sword. I mean, they did a fantastic job with her. I think they built her up very, very well. Henry Cavill did a good job. I think he was better in Man of Steel. There were parts where he didn't sell me as Superman, but he did a good job. Those three did a great job. Perry White, fantastic. What's her name is Lois Lane, does a pretty good job with that character. But
we did almost. I mean, we saw pretty much full boob in a PG-13 movie.
Oh, really? I missed it.
Half boob.
The movie
if
deserves
you see two sides of a half. That's a whole, man.
The movie deserves less than what I gave it at 80%. I think it's more along the lines of a 75.
I lowered my score.
But it deserves.
You raised yours, right?
Yeah.
It deserves more than the 33% that they're giving it.
Oh, 100%.
I guess as a whole, it's not a fantastic movie, but there are a lot of parts of it that make it enjoyable to watch. There wasn't a part in the movie where I was like, I'm done with this. It's terrible. I can't even stand it. That's 33% to me.
Well, there was almost one part in that where I guess I was like, where are we going with this?
Yeah. Well,
we'll talk about it.
No,
when we
tell us now. I mean,
the Bat Jesus floating up off of the.
You mean the beginning
in the dream sequence?
I have an answer for all of that.
Well, I hope it's a good one because I thought it was incredibly. It was incredibly corny. The only thing I could take away from it was like they were trying to see this kind of arisen, like the Dark Knight is actually kind of becoming this kind of savior figure.
Young Master Bruce coming
when he falls down the hole and the bat's like it's his dream and the bats levitate him, up out of the hole. It's just
a dream sequence.
I know, but I just thought it was cheesy. I didn't like it.
I think you're making it to a connection that it doesn't.
No, I think the connection's supposed to be there too.
Really?
They're like he's rising as a.
But I think we're missing a key part here, and I think it comes back to. So can we? I don't want to step.
Go ahead and finish your.
I'm done. Those are the main points that came out of it that I thought were really well done.
Reiterate what you said though, man. I think the Bruce Wayne part of the Batman. I hope it doesn't get overlooked because when he's all by himself, even when he's walking in a room full of people and he's just talking to Alfred in his ear, he is the Bat with the Bruce Wayne mask on.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like he's gruff and he's complaining and then she comes into the room and he's like, "Hey, where's the bathroom?" He turns into Bruce Wayne frat boy all of a sudden.
The Clark Kent Bruce Wayne meeting was good until Lex showed up.
I'm still not satisfied that at that point Batman or Bruce Wayne knows that Clark Kent is Superman there.
He doesn't know.
I don't think he did either. I think it would have been better if they both would have known, but not known that each other knows. You know what I mean? But Superman knew.
Yeah.
Because he's immediately like, Bruce, I need your help. I mean, there's no.
Well, that was later, but
still,
he probably knew at that time.
He was probably. As soon as he was listening.
Yeah, he heard Alfred in his ear right away.
Right.
Okay,
so let's start this next half of the question about what's bad about the movie. I don't want to just say what's bad about the movie, but I'm going to start with this question here.
Okay.
Do you think? Okay, let's go back in our heads like 3 years ago when Man of Steel came out.
3? Well, it was longer than that, wasn't it?
No. Well, okay. When we were talking about it on the podcast, it was within the last 3 years. But when we talked about Man of Steel, we all talked about how we didn't feel like that was the Superman we wanted. And I do remember very succinctly knowing that if that if the next Superman movie was going to deal with the repercussions of the first movie, then that's genius. You know what I mean? Like that's I remember that thought process.
Yeah.
Of if we're going to deal with what he's done.
Yep.
And that's going to set up the conflict for the next movie, and then we found out it was going to be a Batman versus Superman. And then we started getting trailers. And we started thinking that was probably the direction he was going to go.
Right.
My question then is, did he know that when he wrote Man of Steel?
Who?
I don't think Zach actually wrote. I know he wasn't the primary writer. I don't think, but
my understanding was that from the few things that I had read about it, the process of the writers is that they started trying to write
David S. Goyer.
the Superman 2, the follow-up movie, and they were struggling with trying to figure out where are we going now with Superman, just a standalone. And somebody brought in the idea at one point, I think, of the idea of a repercussion, and then somebody else brought in the idea of a bat, and they're like, well, and then they just got to the point where they threw the baby, out with the bathwater with the whole idea of a standalone Superman film, and they were just like, no, we need to move this in the direction of the Batman, because
I'm really disappointed with that answer though, and I mean it doesn't matter, we got what we got, but
I think it's just because the conundrum was, what do you do with Superman at this point? Because everybody was so kind of unsure of what is going on with Superman. Because I think everybody has that same reaction of, is this really Superman, what we've created? This new interpretation, is it really Superman? Is some people are very disappointed. Some people are okay with it. Oh, it's a new interpretation for a new century, or a new kind of modern society that we live in, where there's more and more shades of gray every year, and could a black and white guy really exist? So that's my understanding of how that writing process happened.
Can I okay, so then let me move forward here, because if the actual story is they knew they were going to do this the whole time, and they wanted to have that sort of bleak sort of ending to this Man of Steel movie to lead to this, then these guys are geniuses.
I don't think that was the case.
But here's what I think's happened is that they fell into this. They fell into the situation they're in, and it actually has worked out perfectly. It really did. To give Batman an opportunity to do this Batman versus Superman, because he has to basically punish the alien, or in his mind he has to punish the alien. We know that Darkseid is coming. We know that part of this coming of Darkseid is sort of this coming of these visions that we see. Yeah. Okay, what's the worst part of the movie? What's the worst part of the movie, Doug?
The worst part of the movie?
Character-wise.
Oh, well, of all the main characters, Lex was the worst part.
What's the worst part of the movie, Mike?
Lex Luthor.
Yeah, I think so too. And I think what's happened is I think we see snippets of what's happening to Batman. And I think that's actually pushed forward through Darkseid. I think we see. I think the dream sequence that he has is
wasn't really a dream.
It was a dream. It was a dream. It was.
What was that?
The Flash.
Oh no! I'm not talking about that one, but the one Doug was just talking about it. Being at his mother's funeral, being at his mother's funeral, and then falling into the pit, and then raising up like Batman, or like Superman does, not like Batman does, but like Superman does,
like a
floating
savior
up,
figure,
like a savior figure floating up with these bats. I think I think all of those, Lex's bizarre behavior, but his knowledge of this stuff, I think that was all. I think all three of those, both those characters primarily, were being influenced by Darkseid, because Darkseid can't come if Superman's there. Darkseid in this universe, and I'm projecting here, and I'm making predictions and weird conjectures, but I think all of these things here, I think those things we're gonna find out in the next movie, that those things happened because of Darkseid. So like Lex knows about the kryptonite in order to and the fingerprints and to work the Genesis chamber, because he's receiving the exact same kind of dreams that Batman is receiving.
Then they did a terrible job with that.
No, I don't think they want you to know this. I don't think they want this to be known.
Well, here's the thing.
Hold on, let me finish, and then by all means, I expect a rebuttal. If you look at sort of the sequences these dreams come, I believe the Flash sequence was a dream within a dream, almost an Inception sort of thing. I believe that so he has this like iconography. iconography of him as Superman, because Darkseid and the powers that be is trying to breed this jealousy into Batman, that he was a hero long before Superman showed up, and he was the savior long before Superman showed up, but now he's an alien with all these extra powers, but Batman is still a man representing humankind and mankind and so forth. But I think that that dream sequence built that jealousy up into him. Then we have the second of the Superman army and the
Batman resistance.
The Batman resistance, and then at the end of that dream we have the Flash sort of coming forward from time. I believe that I feel that was real inside of his dream. Mm-hmm. Like Darkseid was influencing Batman at the time. The Flash is trying to communicate through that sequence, saying
you're right about him.
You're right about him. Lois is the key, though. You have to save Lois. If Lois dies, that's what happens. As long as Lois doesn't die, then we're good.
But would it really be Lois, or would it be his mother? If she would have died,
well, I think he said save Lois.
Well, he did.
Yeah, I think it's Lois. But I feel like that was like sort of the future Justice League trying to intervene upon that moment by sending the Flash through.
Yeah, I can't remember all exactly what he said, but he was like questioning, is this the right? Was he saying something about the right time?
Is this the right spot? Yeah, he was talking to somebody off screen.
Right.
Yeah,
and that was one of my complaints. Was like I was kind of looking around at reactions of people in the theater, and one of the complaints that I had is the movie itself felt so disjointed, like in the flow of the storytelling. I'd say for at least probably the first half between 2/3, like that, when that scene happened, like I was looking around and people were literally like, I would hear whispering as things were going on, like what is going on? Like nobody, I mean, that scene in and of itself would have been confusing, but there was just this general sense of there's no like continuity in how this story's flowing. Yeah. It was just very spiky.
So
I'm here. What's going on?
I think if I'm buying into this Darkseid dream theory, and I want to hear what you think, one way or the other, but if I'm buying into the Darkseid dream theory, then I'm kind of okay. I mean, it's really supported when we get to Lex at the end, when he's going like the bells. He's heard us. It's ringing. Like he knows Darkseid's coming, and there's no way that Lex Luthor would know that Darkseid is coming without that influence.
Okay.
Without that influence.
But you could be right, and
Lex could have access to some technological,
Okay, there you go. He might have some access to it. Where in the hell in this story do they explain to any person? They gave us a 10-minute Batman origin story again, but they didn't explain a damn moment about Lex. There are people that don't know who Lex Luthor is. They don't understand. They don't know who he is, where he comes from. So his dad built a company. There's no point in this story that they explain, oh, he's actually a pretty smart guy. Oh, he's running this company. Oh, none of that is explained. Not a single bit of it. There's no reasoning behind his craziness, his Mad Hatter style of talking.
If Ryan's,
none of it.
If Ryan's is right, then the next movie that would all make sense.
But they should have given us some reasoning of why he was smart.
Like just somebody, his assistant, or maybe somebody being like,
he's not Brainiac.
Maybe he's become
smart.
Right.
He's a very smart person.
Ever since the alien arrived, he's become unhinged. Just some little inclination of his unhingedness.
Some teaser. Yeah.
That was my question. I'm like, okay, is he unhinged because he just has a psychological problem?
Right.
Just period. They've tried to create this new Lex that they've re-envisioned is this angsty Silicon Valley, kind of. So. Is that why? Is it because of his dad and his dad beating him? Does he have real psychological issues?
Is there
something? Is there something deeper?
I'm gonna
your idea is right. If hold on.
I'm going to naysay this for a different reason.
If your idea is right, then they did a terrible job with this movie, and that's why the movie's got 33%. Because there's nothing to give us any inkling to that.
Okay, let me tell you why the movie's 30%, why the movie's bad. And this is just my opinion here, but it sort of goes into that as well, because I'm going to say the opposite of what you're saying. Is that I feel like I walked out of that movie talking to my wife, ready to talk to you guys tonight, with the overall opinion that Zack Snyder is not one of us, okay? Zack Snyder is not truly a comic book fan. Or if he is a comic book fan, he has no friends that are comic book friends. Because he thinks that we're retarded, okay? And I don't mean to throw the R word out there. He thinks that we are very dumb in the subjects of comic books. The first hour and 45 minutes could have been filled with a Star Wars scrawl at the beginning of the movie. Batman is scared that Superman's going to take over the world. Batman is now preparing traps for Superman, and then it could have been Alfred talking to him right before he goes into battle. I wish you would rethink this, Master Bruce. We don't need to do this, Master Bruce. He needs to be your friend and so forth. It could have been a 5-minute monologue between the two, and we could have got to the good part of the movie right then.
Yeah.
But I feel like the storytelling in the movie thinks that we needed so much explanation to understand why Batman and Superman would fight one another. And that's kind of why I come to this dark side theory about these dreams, because I got to think that there's got to be value in the time that we were spent there.
And I didn't, well...
everything in the beginning of that movie is an assassination attempt from and turning the world against Superman from Lex.
Well, but the whole thing is, okay, they're like,
the world and Batman.
Why is Batman chasing these Russian guys to find the white Portuguese? Who's the white? There's this like whole thread of a crime kind of a crime caper of, I gotta follow the breadcrumbs to get to the clue, and then over here it's like Lex is like, for whatever reason I gotta find I gotta get the kryptonite. Somehow I know about the kryptonite. I found a little piece, and that's why I'm saying there were these threads of storytelling that were disjointed, which my opinion is they should have just taken the time and just made 2 movies.
Okay,
broken them apart.
Just so you're aware, Marvel had 12 movies. The first Avenger movie was their 12th movie before they had their team up movie.
Right. I know.
They're trying to do what Marvel did in 11 other movies. They're doing in one.
It's exactly what we said we were afraid of.
But I'm telling you, I don't think the problems, there's disjointed storytelling, was all there. It was trying to lead the audience to a conclusion that we didn't need to be led to.
But it didn't do a good job of doing that.
It was trying to lead us to the conclusion, or trying to give us the rationale of why Batman would really fight Superman. Why, instead of, okay.
I got that from him.
And who's the guy that died in the building? He's just like, oh, Jack, Jack.
What?
The guy that he's all emotionally, distraught that this random guy in a building for his company.
He worked at his company.
Well, why is that guy so important?
I don't know.
He's not. They're all important. It's the Wayne family.
Well, I'm just saying that whole thing, that to me was the weakest part of Ben Affleck's performance, was him, the emotional connection when he got to Ground Zero, when that was all going on. For me, that was the weakest part for him. I liked everything else for the most part, except
because you didn't know who Jack was.
No, I was just like, I don't know. I didn't feel it. I didn't feel that. I don't know. I just didn't get it. The scene with the little girl, I wasn't feeling.
You didn't. You would. I mean, honestly, you're right, Mike. It could have. That's all it would have taken, and we would have understood that why Batman needs to fight Superman. That and the other line of, if there's 1% that he's ever going to be evil, we have to take care of it.
Right. That could have done it. You could have had that fight at the beginning. Wonder Woman could have shown up, and then you could have made a Justice.
See, if they would have had another film.
Well, I don't want a Justice.
And maybe Selena Kyle or whoever, somebody that had a close emotional connection to Bruce Wayne, was in that building when that happened. No,
I don't think I don't think that needs to be good. There. I'm fine with what happened there, because this is the Bruce Wayne we're dealing with.
Yeah, he's still upset that someone is trashing a city. He doesn't like that. It wasn't Gotham,
and he was
it
powerless
Metropolis
to deal with it.
Yeah, he couldn't do anything about it. That makes him mad. Get it? We got it.
He's a man, not a god.
But it just, I like your idea, and I think it's good. But as Doug is saying, it's so all over the place that there's no way that they got that point.
Would say I would.
I think they're trying to hide that in the chaos,
and that will be fantastic. That if the Justice League movie comes out and it all ties it together, and everyone that said 33% goes, holy crap, I was completely wrong. Look at all these connections that movie actually made.
But the thing is okay,
they'll never go back.
Then this is another issue I have. So I started talking last night with a friend of the show, Barry, about so we have Wonder Woman that was introduced. We have Aquaman that was introduced. We have the Flash that was introduced. Cyborg. I liked the little way that they introduced them, and I liked all of the snippets except Cyborg's. I didn't like that one. The rest of them were okay.
Yeah.
But you have all of these characters that are getting introduced, and all of their origin story or whatever stories are happening, because Justice League comes out next year. With Wonder Woman, those two movies come out next year. And then after that, all of these other
Justice
stories
League is already filming. Like it's already.
But what he's saying is Aquaman and the Flash come out after Justice League.
So we have the team up before people even get introduced to the characters.
Because I don't really think the first Justice League movie is going to feature a lot of Flash. You saw like the Flash. He doesn't quite understand what's going on yet. You saw like the explosion and the lightning when he saved the guy. I think some of the Justice League movie is going to be like, hold on, you got to figure out your powers first. Same with Cyborg. I think Cyborg's going to be working. I think we're going to get their origin stories. Or it's not necessarily an origin story.
I don't even know if it's an origin.
Their solo movies.
But the thing is
I just don't want that. I don't want it to happen again.
You're talking about how they feel like the fans are Zack Snyder / DC movie, whoever's producing that the fans are stupid and need to be handheld. So then why are you putting a lineup of your Justice League film before you can?
Because they feel like they're so far behind.
See, and I think that's stupid.
But
Superman has been out now for going on 100 years.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, Batman's been out since what, the 50s?
Speaking of which,
when Batman came out, the 40 was it the 50s?
I think it was late 40s.
Okay, so they've been around 70 to 100 years. I think it'll be okay if you just took the time and waited and got a couple more movies in there before you jump directly into your, all-important Keystone.
39.
I think you're.
Oh, he came out in 39.
Batman came out in 39.
I think you're. Hold on. Let me read this first.
And Superman.
I'm just saying, people.
In 38.
I know it's a right now generation, but I think people could still wait a couple more years.
I will say this then before I read what I have to read here, but I think it's because it's because they know that the Justice League is the one that's going to keep people hooked, and it's the one that people want.
Well, they better make sure that it does, because they've done serious damage to their property.
There's no guarantee that the Flash movie is going to work. There's no guarantee that the Cyborg movie is going to work. So they don't want to put those stinkers ahead of
there is a Cyborg movie.
Yes, there is. 2020.
Yeah. All right, so let me read this. For you, the listener of the Bobcast, you can now go to Audible, and we're offering a free audiobook download for a free 30-day trial and to give you an opportunity to check out their service. This week, we're recommending, so you can help answer Doug's question, Superman, the high-flying history of America's most enduring hero, written by Larry Tye, and narrated by Scott Brick. It's
that was your
13 hours. No, that wasn't his. He would never give me one, so I found one that I thought would go well with the show. It's 13 hours long of a book here, and it features 75-year history of how Superman came to life, and is still one of America's most enduring heroes. Now Larry Tye, prize-winning author and journalist of New York Times best-selling book Satchel, has written his first full-fledged history, not of just the Man of Steel, but of its creators, its designers, owners, performers that made him such an icon today. You can download this book, or I think you actually get 2 free books when you sign up. To download, to your free audiobook, you can go to audibletrial.com/Bobcast. Again, that's audibletrial.com/Bobcast and get your free audiobook. And if you do that, that helps us out.
Awesome.
And it helps you because you learn about Superman.
Yeah, then you can be on a show and you be a Superman
Right.
fan.
And you can tell us how we're wrong.
Tell us how we're wrong about all this stuff.
Okay. So, Ryan, if your theory pans out, that would be fantastic. You know, and they would look, again, either they are geniuses or they stumbled upon it, you know, accidentally. That would be fantastic. My only thing was, if that is the case, they should have left just some small sliver of, as far as the Lex portion of it goes, of maybe he always wasn't this way. Something. He isn't psychopathic, just naturally. Just maybe his assistant just makes a quick little offhanded, quirp. Is that even a word? Quip about since the alien, he's been unhinged.
Why does it have to be that small? Why can't we get a dream sequence from him? We got a dream sequence from.
Yeah, but
the main character of the movie. You're right. We
from
did.
Bruce,
the main character of the movie.
But that doesn't necessarily hint at dark. The general population is not going to be like, "What's dark?" They're
but
not.
That's what I'm saying. Is they think we're dumb, and they didn't allow us to.
Well,
say,
even that.
If we're dumb, then they would have sold us more on the.
But even that dream
side.
sequence, I looked around, and people were literally like, I whispered, "What's going on?" Like.
I was confused.
That would be the worst movie theater on the planet. I'd have to be shushing all those people that keep whispering.
Well, I was confused.
Well, Courtney was right beside me, so I
her whispering.
I mean, I knew. No, there were just the reactions of people, like the crucifix back going, like people giggling and stuff like that as that was happening, and then it's just the problem was, like we've said multiple times, our biggest fear, there's so much that they're trying to cram in because they feel like they're so far behind. They would have to create the perfect movie to make this thing work.
But I don't think
they did not come close to pulling that off. Now they've potentially damaged their chances. You're right. They've got Justice League, and Justice League better be fantastic. If it's not, if it's even close to what this is, then I think the future of their movies are.
I just here's the other side too. Let me just say this too. I think Zack Snyder hates the camp, right? He hates the campy. Like, what do we want to... What were the parts that were enjoyable to us? The parts that were enjoyable to us was closest to the Justice League friends. I mean, honestly. When they were talking to one another, when they were like, is she with you?
I turned to you when that fight sequence said, and I said, where has this movie been?
Right.
And how long, like I said, the first half to 2/3 of the movie was...
I don't think the problem is that they tried to cram too much into the movie. They did, but I think they took way too much of one thing and took up too much of the movie of building this argument of Batman fighting Superman to bring it down to
why does
argument.
Why does Superman care so much about that civil liberties are being trampled and well, they've been trampled now for years, and you've known about it. And now all of a sudden, you suddenly care.
Well, that was explained too. The violence in Superman didn't start, or violence in Batman just started. Like it had been. I mean, obviously, we've had a very successful Batman for 20 years. There's a Batlight. Gotham depends on him. There was a Robin at one time.
He knows all about that.
Right, exactly. But only now, since the dreams have started to occur, has Batman's violence ramped up, because now he's jealous. Now he feels like he has something to prove. Now he has to go harder at it because he's competing with somebody who can fly, can't be killed, and is untouchable.
I didn't
by
get
can't
that.
Be killed, I don't.
The jealousy aspect of it, I guess I didn't.
But see, what I'm saying is that they worked so hard to try to get people to understand Bruce's motivation when they could have just summed it up in one quick monologue.
You spent an hour and a half building up one fight that lasted 10 minutes that got resolved in 2.
Yep.
That bugged me.
I would say 30. All you have to do is
resolution.
Apparently, all you have to do is say is Martha.
All you have to, and I hated that.
And you know what's funny? Me and Ryan both
never made the connection.
Did you ever make the connection that both of their mothers were named Martha?
Yeah, and I was just like, really? That's all it takes?
I don't know why.
I never made the connection.
I think I've always known that. I've always known Superman Thomas Wayne, but
Thomas
I've always
Wayne,
known
Martha Kent.
Martha Kent, but I've never really known Martha Wayne, I guess.
Yeah.
But
Has it always been Martha Wayne? Did we look it up?
Yeah, I think so.
Well, obviously you said you knew it, so I guess.
Well, no, because it's like I was just like that's. Seriously, all of this hatred and everything just goes away because
to me, that gives further support to the dreams, because 90% of his dreams deal with that loss. 90% of the dreams, like it was blood coming out of Martha's side that spurned him into that. I mean, it's
always been Martha.
So
I will say this. I know I slammed the Batman origin again, but I will say
her maiden name is Kane, by the way.
Yeah. I know I slammed the origin story, and I wasn't a fan of having to see Batman. And I told you we would see pearls and a gun and a shell fall at the same time, which we did. But that was my favorite by far, because I saw Thomas Wayne's fist clench, and he was going to take the guy out and protect his family before he got shot.
I thought that was fine.
To me, that is
I just like
a
the
cool
fact
change.
that Excalibur was starting, coming soon. Excalibur. Did you notice that behind him?
Oh yeah,
1981 or whatever.
Yeah.
So
yeah, it was coming soon. Excalibur, 1981, but they still saw the old Zorro for some reason.
So, I didn't really have a huge issue with that, because really the origin story only took maybe 5 minutes,
and it was all part of that dream sequence.
So I really didn't have any issue with that, other than the weird Jesus bat levitation.
Like I said, I think that what is the word?
Iconography.
Iconography was important there.
Well, and it very well, it very well may be. And I didn't get the thing with, again, it's like, okay, Batman's. It made sense. His dreams or whatever about mom and dad, and I get that, we're building that. But then the random, why is Kevin Costner here on top of a frozen mountain talking? Like what is?
Yeah.
Does he always have hallucinations of his father in the middle of Antarctica or wherever he is?
I believe it was supposed to be Everest. Was that supposed to be the top of Everest?
I don't know, but it doesn't matter because
it made no sense.
You're right. I'll give you that. I'm not going to argue that point. I was excited to see Kevin Costner.
The dark side's in his head too.
It could be, but I mean that was the wrong message. It didn't give him.
It should. Yeah.
If that would have been Paul Kent saying you need to go kill that bat, son, because that's what you need to do.
And again, I don't necessarily blame Henry Cavill for all of this. I think he's playing Superman okay, but he's just playing what he's being given. And actors
don't have to do anything other than look the part for Superman.
Was Jimmy Olsen a CIA agent?
Was that supposed to be
wasn't Jimmy, though, was it?
I don't know.
That wasn't Jimmy. No, I didn't make that was Jimmy. That was
probably my favorite part with Superman in the movie was when, in the dream sequence, when he vaporizes the two people on either side of Batman. Like, that to me was the most awesome, emotional, he just
because he could, because that's the Superman we're always afraid of.
Did you guys pick up? I was worried about the last fight because of the dream sequence. There are a lot of dream sequences in this movie of when Batman.
That's why I think they're so important.
Batman goes to get the piece of kryptonite and it's not there, and he fights off all those guys, and then the bug creatures come in, and
those are dark side henchmen.
Right.
Yeah,
the parademons or whatever.
That fight sequence was just slow.
What?
It seemed very step.
Turn, when they
punch. Why
didn't they just shoot him?
Not that.
They're like, I didn't understand that. I've got guns full of bullets, but as soon as I turn to Batman, I'll not shoot.
But just the choreography of that whole scene was very it seemed very step, turn, punch, kick, turn, step. Like, I don't know why.
It wasn't as good as the one in the warehouse.
No. The
one in the warehouse was awesome.
Yeah, and that was good. I'm just saying it wasn't. That scene just didn't fit. I don't know. I didn't like it. I didn't like that fight sequence at all.
I didn't mind the dream sequence in and of itself. I thought it was kind of cool, but and I didn't like the chase scene as well as I did I liked the chase scenes in the Christopher Nolan Batman movies better than I
loved this Batmobile. I thought this Batmobile was awesome.
No, the Batmobile was cool. I just didn't like the chase scene.
It looked like a Formula One car with machine guns on it.
And it sounded like it was it wasn't fuel powered. I think it was like electric or something.
I'm not sure.
I thought it was cool. And I love that when it hit Superman but still was able to function to drive him home. And I thought the Batwing looked awesome.
No, I like the look of it. I don't know the way it was kind of choreographed or whatever they did.
It was kind of. I think it sort of suffered from the same thing Mike's talking about. It was a little slow for a chase sequence. It just seemed like it was pretty slow, and he didn't do anything really all that clever.
No. I didn't like the weird. I'm going to chain a crate to the back or a car to and use it as
a catapult
or whatever it was. I don't know. I liked the elements. They just were not used properly.
Okay, can we talk about the elephant in the room? Or it's not really an elephant in the room, but can we talk about the end of the movie? Let's talk about the end of the movie.
Oh.
In the end of the movie, if you haven't picked up on it, because we really haven't talked about it yet, but
I think we already knew that this was coming.
Did we know that this was coming?
Let him have his moment.
Okay.
No, I'm not going to let you. I'm not
it was Doomsday. Why else would they have brought Doomsday into the movie but to kill? I thought we'd already talked about this.
Well, that was my big prediction at the end of the last week's episode. But I didn't realize that it was common knowledge up to that point. So I will.
Well, my assumption was if you bring Doomsday into the movie, that the whole thing hinged on, is it really Doomsday? If it's not Doomsday, then it probably doesn't matter. But if it is Doomsday, then it makes sense that Superman would die. That's the elephant in the room.
Like I said, I don't know if it's really an elephant in the room, but
I guess.
Is the guy that's playing Aquaman, is that
Khal Drogo?
Yeah.
Jason Momoa.
Okay. I wasn't sure if that was him or not.
Yeah. That's him.
I thought he looked terrible.
I don't like him. I want a blonde Aquaman.
Exactly. I want an Arthur Curry.
You don't want a tribal Aquaman?
No, I want a blonde
Arthur Curry, King of Neptune.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, he'll probably do a good job. I'm just he's almost a little too built.
Yeah.
To be Aquaman.
He doesn't look like Aquaman.
He doesn't look.
And did you realize
Aquaman should look like a swimmer, like Michael Phelps kind of thing?
Like, did you realize when the thing got closer and you saw the shine of his eyes, but then when you actually saw him, he opened his mouth and air bubbles come out. So Aquaman has to hold his breath underwater.
No, he could still. I don't know.
I mean, I was like, why is he holding his breath? Why is he holding?
I don't know.
I think
he would have gills or something. I would assume he just breathe like normal.
I hope the Flash needs to be very witty and
needs to be Spider-Man.
snarky. Yeah, he needs to be the Spider-Man. He needs to be very young and just kind of an ass.
Which he was.
Well,
we didn't hear him talk.
Well, you could tell
other
by
than one scene where he's yelling.
right.
He seemed like it. Just his mannerisms and the thing.
I did not care. I did not care for Alfred.
Really?
If I did not care for Alfred, if it would have been him, he fit with this interpretation and that Ben Affleck performance.
Yeah.
He would not have fit with
another
because he was more of the kind of gruff, kind of almost like lazy, or kind of, me and Bruce, we've been through enough now, so I'm just whatever. I'm not going to clean the house. I'm going to sit back and drink the wine.
The house was a rotten.
He made him coffee. Bruce made him coffee.
Right. It's like,
did you see that?
Yeah.
The relationship had evolved so much, I guess, that Alfred was.
Who was the woman in his bed?
Who knows?
All right.
It's Bruce Wayne, man. It could have been anybody.
Yeah. But it's not that he gave a bad performance or anything. It's just he wouldn't have fit in any other Batman film.
Michael Caine as Alfred is the best Alfred in my opinion.
You don't like old man Alfred from the first one?
No, it's not that I didn't like him. I think to sell me on Alfred loving Master Wayne. And that scene it's in Dark Knight Rises,
right? Where he thinks he's dead.
Where he's telling him he needs to stop because he doesn't want to lose him, and he almost has a tear in his eye, kind of thing. That is Alfred, the best scene ever with Alfred,
right?
I mean, you can't beat that.
Yeah. No,
it wouldn't have worked. It'd be like,
it wouldn't have worked in this situation. But I'm just saying that's
the kind of Alfred that I tend to be more of the the wise, imparting wisdom, elderly kind of fatherly figure.
Yeah.
And not that Jeremy Irons couldn't do that, but he just seemed more of a, rough, kind of gruff,
almost
a lazier Alfred. I don't know of anyone.
He almost comes off as, because he was fixing stuff like what's his name in the Dark Knight?
Blah blah.
Fox.
Yeah, Fox.
Yeah.
That's what he kind of comes off of as this.
Kind of an amalgam of maybe those two, only gruffer.
Yeah.
So, but again, it wasn't necessarily a performance. It's just I like another interpretation of Alfred a little bit more, I think.
I thought he was cool. I liked it.
So, yeah.
He was almost more like the Alfred from the animated series.
I feel like, people who are following this know it's getting hammered on social media and especially by the critics. A couple things. It almost seemed like there was just like anticipation to wait to slam this movie. And I'm almost wondering if maybe it'll be something where people, and which is kind of it happens with some movies, but with time and reflection, as people watch it a few more times, the hate for it and the disappointment may subside a little bit, and people may move from the "oh my god, it's terrible" 30% and get back to it's maybe a 60 to 70% movie.
And I think you have that build up because think about it, you had Man of Steel, which didn't really sell people like they wanted on Superman. You get Ben Affleck as Batman, which everyone thought that was going to be a terrible idea at first.
I loved it.
But it was a big deal. Remember when we found out? And a lot of people were like, oh man, Ben Affleck as Batman is going to be terrible, this, that, and the other. You had all these different things that build up to this movie as that wasn't that good, this isn't going to be good, this isn't going to be good. So when the movie actually comes, everyone's like, I don't think it's going to be very good, kind of thing. I think there was a lot of build up prior to it that sold you on it not being good.
Well, and I think too everybody had the general fear that we did too, is that there's so much ground they've got to cover. Is there any way possible that they can do this in one movie?
Personally, I think they should have just made a Justice League movie. I think they could have skipped Batman and Superman, made it a Justice League movie, and been just fine. You could have made Batman Superman, Batman v Superman, the beginning of the movie, 10 minutes, sold us on that idea, had a Wonder Woman show up in that fight, had that happen, find the videotape.
Or what about just make
Flash.
the movie that Ryan was talking about? Have your introduction with Batman, have the middle of it be Batman and Superman, 30 minutes of them just beating the pulp out of one another, and then there's some realization of, oh, there's a darker power behind this. It's actually Darkseid, and some revelation of that, and then the last half an hour or whatever of the movie, them getting a resolution of, okay, there's truly something bigger at play here.
Yeah.
That we have to deal with, which for me, Doomsday was not something that was, obviously he was a huge threat to the world, but Batman was still going to kill Superman regardless of the whole Doomsday thing. It was only because he talked about his mom. But
as I'm looking stuff up, I caught another glimpse of, it's a spoiler and picture, but the scene that I really liked later on is when they nuke Doomsday and Superman, and they show Superman floating up there, and you could see him actually like decayed, and the sun hitting him and like bringing him back to life. That was really good. That scene was very well done. The more metamorphosis of his face and like just
he looked like
the way he
Bizarro almost.
He did. That's where I kind of went with it.
I think that was on purpose, because they knew later on they were going to kill him and then have to justify why he comes back to life.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't disagree.
I don't know, to be honest, I don't know how he comes back to life.
It just takes a while for him to regenerate
in the ground.
Just collect,
because it has to go through the ground.
Well, I don't know how he's going to get that radiation, but
what I thought, and this is just an idea that I had, and I could be completely wrong on it. I was thinking that Batman was going to basically figured out how they made Darkseid, and then he was going to do that with...
You mean Doomsday?
Doomsday, sorry. With Doomsday, and then he was going to do that with Superman, and put Superman in it, and
I'm not saying
basically
that,
bring him back to life.
Won't happen.
And I'm probably wrong, because I don't think that's how the comic book does it. I think comic book just comes back.
But this whole idea of this Genesis chamber and these like Kryptonians can live forever.
Yeah.
I could almost see Batman, using Cyborg, and then Cyborg in the beginning of the Justice League movie, like hacking into that technology or taking that technology, and then when they see that his body is intact, but he's not like. He's not awake yet or something like that. Then they use that Regenesis chamber to.
That's kind of what I was thinking on how they were going to bring it back.
Then he'll be in like that cocoon, and as they're fighting Darkseid and they're getting their butts kicked, it's like you have that little egg timer waiting for their juggernaut to finally come back out and help them. But
another problem, and we both caught this later. Okay, Batman did a fantastic job of Batman. I think we've covered that very well. His planning and execution of fighting Superman was very well done. But you have very little kryptonite.
Right.
And you leave the spear. You left the spear. You did all this planning with all this kryptonite to get it all set up, and you just left the spear. I don't think Batman would have left the spear.
No.
I think
as soon as Batman hit him with that Krypton grenade, he would have taken that spear and gutted him.
No.
I'm just saying.
After the resolution was in, they're like, okay, I'll go save Martha. You go fight the big guy. See you later. And then like they leave, and then there's the most powerful weapon in the known universe now. They just leave laying on the floor.
Yeah. Oh, you're talking about after the resolution. Okay, I'm talking about before. Like, I'm going to lure him back
and then Lois Lane and Batman are both come up with the same idea that the spear is there. Like Lois Lane.
Yeah, what would Lois Lane?
Oh yeah, the spear.
Lois Lane was a completely worthless character for me in this movie.
I think she did she did a good job playing Lois Lane, and then leaving your idea out of the fix, leaving your idea out of the setting that that Lex Luthor is crazy because of other powers. Okay? I think Jesse Eisenberg could be a very good Lex Luthor. I just don't think this script let him be a very good Lex Luthor.
I did not like the...
I think he himself could be a good Lex Luthor.
Well, I just very well maybe.
The script didn't let him be.
Because it's like, they're like, oh, we're going to do this angsty kind of Silicon Valley executive, and try to channel, though, a little bit of the old Gene Hackman kind of kookiness.
But why? That's my whole question. Why? Why? We know why Batman fights. We know why Superman fights. Why?
Because he wants to kill God.
Why does he want to kill God? Why is he crazy? What is his problem?
He talked at length at this. You were listening? Because in the movie, when he's going on his long
he got all this power with no discipline.
Because there's no such thing as good power.
Why
you
is
can
he
either
crazy,
be good and evil. You can be all powerful and evil, or you can be weak and good.
Except for when he has power.
He doesn't. He never has any exceptional power in any of his movies.
No, I'm just saying. Lex. I'm sure if it's anything remotely close to Lex, being a megalomaniac, then
he was a megalomaniac in this movie. I will trash Eisenberg's portrayal and his kookiness, and because it was annoying to me, and I got
that was
tired
another
of it.
problem. I couldn't understand what he was saying some of the time.
But I'm okay with their decision to make Lex Luthor that kind of Lex Luthor.
No, I'm not. I don't have an issue with that. I just
I would be if he continues to be in the movies and we continue to see more of these movies, I think 10 years in prison. And if we can get Jesse Eisenberg, put some meat on his bones, and he comes out now fully aware of his own cognitives and embracing the criminal element, I think it'd be a really awesome transformation, even just shaving his head like that. But to me, the most telling issue about Lex Luthor's psychosis is that very last scene. You have Batman talking to Wonder Woman, is basically establishing a league of justice-y type people and
meta-humans,
and then he tells her, he says, I failed him in life, I will not fail him in death. So when he shows up with Lex and he's got that brand there, and you kind of get the idea that he's going to brand him, or he's going to do that. He won't, because he won't fail. He's not. He's leaving. He's going back to his original code of ethics. He's not going to do that. But he just kind of wants to threaten Lex, I guess, for some reason. I mean, he didn't ask him any questions. He didn't sort of. He didn't like. Why did you do this to me? Why did you manipulate the situation? Or just know now you're never going to get away with it, or whatever. And then punch the wall. I mean, honestly,
know that I'm gonna be watching. I got my eye on you.
But then you get the whole. Then you get that tick-tock. He's coming. He saw the god is dead.
Who? You know why? Who's coming? You know?
Batman should know. He should have known. I'm assuming he knows that Lex Luthor is crazy already. Since they've never gotten to work together.
He's crazy. Like I don't think he's crazy. I think that's all part of the act.
So he's had like all these like or okay, not crazy, a bad guy.
Yeah, he's a bad guy.
Yeah. But Batman would have known that. I mean,
Bruce Wayne would have known that.
Okay,
he's just suddenly a bad guy, though.
He's just suddenly a bad guy.
Maybe he's never.
I mean, but really, he's not a bad guy though, because really he's just trying to do the same thing that Bruce Wayne's trying to do: get rid of Superman, because he doesn't.
Well, he blows up the Capitol building.
Yeah,
I mean that's kind of a bad guy.
He
move.
does kind of do a terrorist act.
Yeah, like a couple.
Yeah. Or he just plants the idea in a disabled guy's head.
No, he plants it in his wheelchair.
Yeah, I don't know the disabled guy.
I'm not even positive.
We don't know that.
Yeah.
Maybe the disabled. We don't know that.
I'm not even sure if that guy knew that was in there.
It is strange to me though that he killed Mercy off like that.
Who?
Oh,
Lex did.
Yeah, she was sitting right beside him,
or where he should have been. Yeah, where Lex should have been.
Well, if he's a psychopath, then.
But to me, that makes me think that maybe he's not functioning on all, because the Lex Luthor from the comic books, the Lex Luthor from the previous Lex Luthor and Mercy sort of incarnates,
right?
He wouldn't have just left her there to die.
No,
he would have said, "Come with me. We'll get a view from the balcony or something."
Yeah,
he would have sent her in there to
keep my seat warm. And I didn't get I must have been slow on the uptake, because the whole like minute long turning the pickle juice jar or grandma's tea or whatever.
Yeah,
I was like,
it didn't need to be there. But
what is going? I was just like, what is she doing? Like it was like, one take. Two takes. It literally lasted like a minute.
It was a jar.
You don't remember the?
She was realizing it was a jar of urine.
That the only person she told that to would have been.
Yeah, and I was like, is he just trying to get inside her head? And then finally, when it gets over to the guy in the wheelchair,
did you know? I mean, I knew what was going to happen the whole time, didn't you?
The wheelchair was going to explode?
Yeah.
No.
You didn't know that?
No.
No, I did not pick up on that.
As soon as they did as soon as they were all going there, and as persistent as Lex was for him to be there and giving him the gift, and then you saw like the security chain where they have like.
I thought he was going to do something, but I didn't think he was going to blow up the whole Capitol.
Well, I think that was in the trailer.
No, I didn't watch the last trailer, so
I don't know.
Okay, how long have we been at? I don't even know.
I have no clue.
Okay, well, let's make that move towards wrapping up, I guess, if you guys don't mind. But I will leave us with this. I know that the critics have hammered this movie.
Right.
But if you look at user reviews, we're at a solid 80%.
And that's probably right.
Metacritic, and I haven't checked Rotten Tomatoes.
I dropped mine to 75.
I had it at 76. I dropped it down to, I'm going to give it 65.
I'm saying 75. I'm still a little higher because
I'm going to give it a solid D.
That's funny. Yeah, audience reviews 73% from Rotten Tomatoes. It's 80% or like 7.9% on Metacritic. I do want. I don't think anybody's happy with the pacing. I don't think anybody's happy with some of the story, the plot holes and the storytelling elements. But to me, I was very excited for what we saw character development wise, and I was glad they killed off Superman. I think it'll make a much more interesting Justice League when they don't have him at the beginning of it. They have to form together, because they don't have him.
I don't know.
What?
I don't have high hopes for the next movie.
I think okay, if it comes out like this, hey Zach, everybody loved the end of your movie, when there were jokes and when people were having a good time and when Batman was conversing and nobody was under mind control, like we all liked the last half of the movie. Hopefully, if they do basically write to what we say, they rewrite Justice League's already underway, so there's no way they can rewrite
two
it.
Justice League movies.
But if it's already so we may not even get Superman until the second one.
That's a terrible idea.
Well,
End of the first one, maybe
the end of the first one, but then basically the second movie is just them beating up the bad guys the whole time.
Well, it'll be like Hobbit 2.
I just like you said, I feel like they're like the DC guys are like, well, Marvel's got part 1 and part 2. We need a part 1 and part 2 too, and
well,
they should find their own way. I don't know. They just need to not try to mimic Marvel, I think, down to the same game plan that Marvel's got. They got different properties. They should try to find a different method.
That's what Star Wars is doing. Star Wars is going the Marvel meta too.
Well, we'll see if it works.
Yeah, I think it will work as long as if we get more of like what we had at the end of that movie, I think it actually is going to go. So I'm excited. I'm having a lower expectation has made me really appreciate this movie. And as long as it's not X-Men Apocalypse, we're all good. Right, Mike?
Now watch it be fantastic.
What, X-Men Apocalypse?
Yeah.
No way. I'll eat my shoe if that's possible. All right. Thank you guys so much for being here with us tonight. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you got a chance to see Batman vs. Superman before you listen to the whole podcast.
I hope you get to hear it.
Yeah, I hope you do too. So if you let us know what you think about the movie, you can do so at facebook.com/Buffalo Brotherhood. You can... that's pretty much it right now. You can tweet me if you want at Bufflecast. Or tweet the show at Bobcast Nation. Tweet Doug at Refried Evil. Tweet Mikey at Fuman2, 2 O's, 2 N's, and the number 2. Take a look at our YouTube page if you can get to it from our Facebook page and see some of the things going on there. It's been a great week, guys, and we'll see you next week where we will be talking.